If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
Well, I guess Blink 182 was right and aliens are real. At least that was the testimony of David Grush, a former U.S. intelligence official who went to Capitol Hill on Wednesday to talk about America's long relationship with UFOs. And Grush went further than many expected, saying under oath that not only does the government operate a UFO recovery and research program, but that U.S. officials have actually collected non-human bodies from crash sites. Now keep in mind, Grush is under oath, so he's risking perjury charges if what he's saying is a lie. And Grush went on to say he'd be happy to provide specific locations, dates, names, and other details only in a classified closed-door hearing.
Who in the government what agency, sub-agency, what contractors, who should be called into the next hearing about UAPs, either in a public setting or even in a private setting? And you probably can't name names, but what agencies or organizations, contractors, et cetera, do we need to call in to get these questions answered, whether it's about funding, what programs are happening, and what's out there?
I can give you a specific cooperative and hostile witness list of specific individuals that were in those.
And how soon can we get that list?
I'm happy to provide that to you after the hearing.
So listen, I'm not saying I believe Grush. After all, he's making extraordinary claims. If true, they would be some of the only secrets our government has successfully kept quiet in its entire existence. But if Grush does have names, his story should be pretty easy to investigate. The Hill's much-anticipated UFO hearing wasn't actually the big joke some thought it would be, because lawmakers actually invited a pretty respected panel of experts to talk about the military's experience with unidentified objects. That included decorated naval commander David Fravor, who encountered an unknown object while in flight in San Diego. And Fravor isn't just one guy who saw something on a flight. His entire naval fleet was redirected towards tracking and recording the thing he saw.
Now, is it true that you saw, in your words, a 40-foot flying tic-tac-shaped object?
That's correct. Or for some people that can't know what a tic-tac is, it's a giant flying propane tank.
Fair enough. Did this object come up on radar or interfere with your radar or the USS Princeton?
The Princeton tracked it, the Nimitz tracked it, the E-2 tracked it. We never saw it on our radars. Our fire control radars never picked it up. The other airplane that took the video did get it on a radar. As soon as it tried to lock it, it jammed the radar, spit the lock, and he rapidly switched over to the targeting pod, which you can do in the F-18.
And Fravor isn't saying he thinks this was an alien encounter. What he is saying is that multiple naval vessels saw, tracked, and recorded a vehicle that appeared to be doing things it shouldn't be possible to do with current technology. And that caught lawmakers' attention.
From what you saw that day and what you've seen on video, did you see any source of propulsion from the flying object, including on any potential thermal scans from your aircraft?
No, there's none. There's no IR plume coming out, and Chad, who took the video, went through all the EO, which is black and white TV, and the IR modes, and there's no visible signs of propulsion. It's just sitting in space at 20,000 feet.
In your career, have you ever seen a propulsion system that creates no thermal exhaust?
No.
Can you describe how the aircraft maneuvered?
Abruptly, very determinate. It knew exactly what it was doing. It was aware of our presence, and it had acceleration rates. I mean, it went from 0 to matching our speed in no time at all.
Basically, this doesn't need to be aliens for the government to be concerned, because if some other nation is developing technology anywhere close to what Fravor and others described, that would put American national security at a huge disadvantage. And for some lawmakers in the Freedom Caucus, that national security risk was exactly the reason for holding this meeting, because it didn't take long for folks like Florida's Matt Gaetz to call for even more funding for the Pentagon.
Well, how should we think about the fact that this craft that was approached by our pilot had the capability of disarming a number of the sensor and collection systems on that craft?
Well, I think this goes to that national security side, and you can go back through history of things showing up at certain areas and disabling our capabilities, which is disheartening. And for us, I mean, like I said, it completely disabled the radar on the aircraft when it tried to do it, and the only way we could see it is passively, which is how he got that image. So I think that's a concern on what are these doing, not only how do they operate, but their capabilities inside to do things like this.
Now, at this point, you may be wondering if all this is just a ruse to get more funding for the Defense Department, and that certainly could be the case. But these men all told their stories at risk of being jailed for knowingly lying, and you can bet people will be looking to poke holes in their stories any way possible. One thing hasn't changed, though. There's still no sign of intelligent life from Gates and his Freedom Caucus buddies. Aliens may be real, but it sure isn't going to be Matt Gaetz who finds them. Hey guys, I'm really excited to share that I just launched my own YouTube channel to dig even deeper into the big political stories that fascinate me. So go check out The Third Degree and be sure to subscribe there and here. And as always, leave a comment below so you can let me know what I should cover next.